So, the most important thing about these, though, is the sound quality. These come in at a pretty hefty $600 retail. However, they actually sell for about, I got these for $479. You can probably find them for $500 at a couple places. From Phonak or Audio Direct, they're about $600. For the price tag, they got a lot to live up to, and I would say sound quality wise, they do a pretty good job. They don't blow me away in every sense of the word. However, they're probably one of, if not the best in-ear headphone I've ever heard. The problem that I have with these, which is probably a little bit rare, and I haven't heard that many people say they've had an issue like this, but when I plug these into my ear the way that you normally would, they fit well, but I get a lot of bad sibilance in the drum region, like the cymbals and things. It's not just sibilance, but it's kind of a forwardness that brings out the cymbals so much that I have an actual problem listening to the songs. I just have to take them out of my ears. It's so harsh. So what I need to do is actually force these in a little bit further, which causes them to tilt and makes them a little bit more uncomfortable than I think they were designed to be used as. 50-50 reviews that I've read say that there's sibilance and that there's not sibilance. I'm wondering if some of the people that actually have experienced the sibilance have the same issue that I have, and maybe if they pushed it in further, it would remove that. However, it doesn't feel natural when you normally put these in. The tendency is just to gently push them in until they make a seal, and they fit perfect, and they're comfortable, and everything's great. So you wouldn't probably think of pushing them in further. It just seems a little bit unnatural. But when you do, for me personally, the sibilance goes away, and I get a much smoother, clearer overall presentation. The basic signature of these is slightly V-shaped. Despite its V-shape, they do sound very natural and very realistic. They have a good, healthy amount of bass. It's not too overpowering, but it's definitely one of the better basses I've ever heard in a balanced armature. The treble is by far the best treble I've ever heard when they're in far enough for me. It's just very well extended treble, and it smoothly flows into the mids and smoothly into the bass. So it's very coherent sound, very large soundscape. The detail is just phenomenal. It pulls out things that you don't hear in other headphones. The bass is just phenomenal. You hear sub bass in tom drums and things at just the right amount, and they're very precise sounding. Everything is very precise sounding. When it hits with a kick drum, you hear the snap and the punch and the kick and the thump and all of that, but it's very quick and precise. It's a very fast headphone. So it hits, it stops, and you just hear everything clear as day. When a sub bass note hits on a tom or an instrument with a lot of sub bass, sometimes it just has that really nice thong that you want to hear in a real instrument, and it doesn't have any like lag or decay extension that makes it sound too thick or too unrealistic. It's very, very crisp, even though it's sub-bassy. The mids are the same way, even though they're not as prominent as the other frequencies. When you hear a guitar and you hear the pluck of the string, you just get that nice, precise, quick feeling. They don't sound like they're recessed, and they don't sound like they're missing anything. However, if you listen carefully, it's definitely a V-shape, and you hear that it's a little bit lower in the mid-region, and that instruments don't necessarily always have that full body that you may want. But in general, it's still very smooth balance throughout the frequency range, and it sounds excellent. And one thing that I find that these do really well is they add a sense of depth and realism that I haven't heard in many IEMs or headphones for that matter. Sort of a, I guess you'd call it a soundstage. It's kind of a silky smooth. It almost gives you that wet reverb sensation, but without actually being reverberated. So if you compare it to like a Sony dynamic driver, they have a kind of a dry sound, and the treble sometimes has like a graininess, like a roughness, not in a bad way, but they just have a dry forward sound. These have more of a deep, smooth, clear sound. So they actually almost sound like they're higher resolution, which is very nice. So that's one of the features I like about the sound properties. I don't think you're going to really top these by great amounts. I haven't tried the Shure 535 or the Westone 4, and I've heard those are pretty comparable, but I don't think they're going to blow these out of the water. I mean, they might be better in some regards, these might be better, I'm not sure. But I can say that these are definitely very, very coherent sound, a lot of depth. There's nothing that I've heard that is a flaw in these. It's just at this point I think it turns into your sound signature preference. So to conclude this review, I would say that these are an excellent headphone worthy of one of the top tier positions in the IEM world. They have universal headphones, that is. They have excellent quality, excellent accessories. They're very good. Value-wise, I would say they are kind of steep in the price range there, so they may not be for everyone. For people that are really discerning about treble and bass in a balanced armature IEM, I don't think you're going to go wrong here. If mids are your sweet point and you really like those thick, creamy mids, these probably won't do as much for you, although they're not bad, but they're definitely not a mid-forward, creamy, silky smooth mid kind of headphone. They're more of a natural, slightly V-shaped headphone. So there you have it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll try to get back to you, and thank you so much for watching.